Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to the morning devotion, and glad you could join me today. We're going to actually go through two chapters today on the morning Devo. And Devo just stands for devotion. It's something that I learned actually back in Alcoholics Anonymous, where you kind of had these devotional books, and they were usually by date, so you could look up kind of the present day. And kind of turn to a page and you get a little Devo. These are a little longer, of course, because I'm going through the actual scriptures. I'm going through the Old Testament, and then I go through the New Testament, and I've already gone through it once online. And so this is my second time through, and it's way cool. Now, I was raised not reading the Bible, very progressive, very Southern California, atheist guy. And just wouldn't touch the Bible, didn't want anything to do with the Bible. It was the enemy, kind of thing. That was in how I was raised. And it wasn't until I was in my late teenage years that I actually started reading the Bible. I was very influenced by music culture, reggae culture, Bob Marley, stuff like that. And there was a lot of scripture that was mentioned in the music. And so that really sparked kind of my continual thought of, man, why does everybody quote the Bible? Why is it such an important book? I mean, Metallica quotes it. I mean, Iron Maiden. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on and on. And so, sometimes we criticize things and we never read the source, the source material. And it's tough to criticize something, or it's not really, I would say, genuine, if you're criticizing something and you just don't know the source. And I criticized Christianity all the time, but I never read it, never knew the source. I might have knew a couple things. Hey, don't judge me, man. That kind of thing. Don't judge lest you be judged. But I didn't know where it was. I didn't know what the context was. I didn't know what the historical background was. I didn't know anything. So I love to just read through it. Man, you could always send people this stream if they've never gone through it, and they can just go through it with me. It's not rocket science, but it'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind how relevant it is, how important it is, and that it's not a made-up fairy tale, that this thing is rooted in history. And we have this huge problem in the Bible that is proposed. It's the problem with a rebellious people that are made in the image of God. And there's a separation between God and the deity. And that separation is seen today. And this is how the Bible puts it, is that when you go outside, you're not going to see God because there's a separation between us and God. Something's wrong. See, this is the big thing in the Bible, is that something's wrong. And that's why things are messy. And that's why human beings are super jacked. And we can't seem to get it right, no matter what we do. Healthcare, it doesn't matter what it is. Automotive, what we build, everything. It seems like we always go the wrong direction. Somehow greed gets in there, envy gets in there, jealousy gets in there, and that's what that's what the Bible is portraying: a world that has gone astray from its Maker. And it's rebellion. It's stubborn. That people are stubborn and stiff-necked. And God reveals himself in really unique ways. And we get in this through the Bible. Now, we're only in the second book of the Bible called Exodus. And it's really cool that we get this amazing revelation of God wanting to reach human beings, save them. He's already talked about how he's going to save them, what it's going to look like. A child's going to be born. This has already happened. God's already done these appearances on the planet. And it continues with this building of a meeting place. It's called the tabernacle, the tent of meeting. And where we're at in Exodus 37:38, and we'll get to the reading, is we're talking about the construction workers that are building it and putting it all together. So in chapter 37, it says, "Next, Bezalel made an ark of acacia wood, a sacred chest, 45 inches long, 27 inches wide, and 27 inches high." Now, this is a sacred chest. It says he overlaid it inside and outside with pure gold, and he ran a molding of gold all around it. He cast 4 gold rings and attached them to its 4 feet, 2 rings on each side. Then he made poles from the acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. He inserted the poles into the rings at the sides of the ark to carry it. So remember, God is not just doing this willy-nilly. That you know a prayer. You're very familiar with what's called the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. When God spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, he gave him blueprints, literal blueprints, architectural blueprints of what to build for the people of Israel to be able to, in a sense, commune or have any kind of fellowship with a righteous, holy God. See, there's a big problem. Human beings are not righteous, they're not holy, not good at all. Actually, God told Noah that you guys are bent on iniquity, meaning something's wrong. You guys go astray from your childhood, it says. Whoa, man, what a tough pill to swallow for us human beings, because we really think we got it together. We get a little knowledge, and knowledge puffs up. We think we really got it together, that we really are in the know. But as you get older, you realize we're not in the know. That, man, we are limited, frail, fragile, and very inconsistent. The knowledge that we do have, yeah, we can do some cool stuff, but we tend to mess that up too, somewhere down the line. Well, God's making something on the planet that is a picture of something in heaven. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Very cool. Then he made an ark's cover, the place of the atonement. So the cover of the ark is the place where the blood is going to be poured out. This substitutionary sacrifice. Now, God's already tipped us off that this is how we're going to be able to draw close to the Creator. That there's going to have to be a judgment. Meaning, it's like you go to the court and there's going to have to be a case on your issue. And either you're going to be found guilty and then you're going to be judged. But we're going to see there's a substitutionary sacrifice that is provided so that you can draw near. Now, the word offering means to bring near. Isn't that cool? When you make an offering, it is to be brought near. Meaning the reason you're to make an offering, is not to just satisfy your own selfish pride, to go, oh man, I'm so good, look at me, I provided an offering. No, it's to be able to draw close to the Creator. And so this ark cover is made the place of atonement, or covering, atonement. From pure gold, it was 45 inches long and 27 inches wide. He made 2 cherubim, or kind of angelic-like winged creatures, I should say, from hammered gold, and placed them on the 2 ends of the atonement cover. He molded the cherubim on each end of the atonement cover. So it's a cool cover, right? To the little box. And it says, making it of one piece of gold. The cherubim faced each other and looked down on the atonement cover with their wings spread above it, and they protected it. Really interesting. The wings covered the seat, or the cover, and the cherub looked down upon the blood that would be shed. Whoa, how radical. Then Bezalel made the table of acacia wood, 37 inches long, 18 inches wide, 27 inches high, and he overlaid it with gold and ran a gold molding around the edge. He decorated it with 3-inch border all around, and he ran a gold molding around the border. Then he cast 4 gold rings for the table and attached them at the 4 corners next to the 4 legs. The rings were attached near the border to hold the poles that were used to carry the table. He made these poles from acacia wood and overlaid them with gold, and he made special containers of pure gold for the table, bowls, ladles, jars, pitchers to be used in pouring out liquid offerings. Then Bezalel made the lampstand. Now remember, I've already mentioned that this is interesting. that in drawing close to God, we see these furniture items. And each one says something: light, bread, table, this Ark of the Covenant where blood is to be shed. And it's interesting that when you read Jesus's words, he claims to be all of them. He claims to be those things. I am the light of the world. I am the bread of life. Man, it must have really rocked those Jewish people's mind when he was saying these things. Man, he is the bread of life. I thought the bread that was in the tabernacle was really sacred bread, but he's saying he's the bread. He's saying he's the light. He's saying he's the door. He's saying he's all these things that were part of the tabernacle he's mentioning. Wow, it must have, Jesus is claiming to be somebody, not just anybody, but someone very, very special. And this is something that just blows our minds when Jesus shares. So this lampstand of pure hammered gold is made, he made the entire lampstand and its decorations of one piece: the case, center stem, lamp cups, buds, and petals. The lampstand had 6 branches going out from the center stem, 3 on each side. Each of these 6 branches had 3 lamp cups shaped like almond blossoms, complete with buds and petals. I mean, so cool. The center stem of the lampstand was crafted with 4 lamp cups shaped like almond blossoms, complete with buds and petals. There was an almond bud beneath each pair of branches where the 6 branches extended from the center stem, all made of one piece. The almond buds and branches were all of one piece with the center stem, and they were hammered from pure gold. He also made 7 lamps of the lampstand, lamp snuffers, and trays of all pure gold, and the entire lampstand, along with its accessories, was made from 75 pounds of pure gold. Then Bezalel made the incense altar of acacia wood, smelling something sweet and smelling, right? It was 18 inches square and 36 inches high, with horns at the corners carved from the same piece of wood as the altar itself. He overlaid the top, sides, and horns of the altar with pure gold, and he ran a gold molding around the entire altar. He made 2 gold rings and attached them opposite sides of the altar below the gold molding to hold the carrying poles. That's right, you carried these things with these poles. And it says he made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. Then he made the sacred anointing oil and the fragrant incense using the techniques of a skilled incense maker. Man, really cool. Now, when a lot of people read this, they kind of skim over it. They're not understanding a lot of what Jesus is teaching or saying because they're just not familiar with these sections of the Bible. Even though it's really early on in the Bible, if you just picked up a Bible and started reading, you get to it, right? Pretty quick. But, it's hard to understand, the New Testament understandings of, oil, baptism, holiness, separation for God, altar, atonement, all these words, sanctification, if you're not understanding what this is, what's going on here. These are to be items that are sanctified, set apart for the use of God. So when Jesus is talking about himself as being the light of the world, or the door, or the gate, or these kind of things, he is making mention that he is separated to God for the work of God. This is what Jesus is getting at, that he is on a mission. He is set apart, holy, made right. He is right. He is the right one. He is the God in human flesh that's come to atone for the sins of the world, to make atonement. Where? On the mercy seat. But he doesn't approach the mercy seat here on the planet in the tabernacle. That is just a picture of the one that would be in heaven. Remember, on earth as it is in heaven. So very cool. Jesus, the eternal Son of God, goes into heaven to atone for the sins of the world. He dies here, and when he's dying on the cross, right? In your hands I commit my spirit, man. And there is a work that's being done in the heavens that Jesus is accomplishing for us on our behalf. He's, in a sense, the winner He's the author and the finisher of our faith. He's the one who does it. He's the one who gets in the game. He's the coach that gets into the game and scores the winning goal. He's that guy. He's not the guy who just yells, hey, this is what you need to do, but he gets on the field and does it. Now, I also love that God has builders, and he has construction workers, and he has people that he uses, and he uses your gifts, and you got special gifts and special things that, you can really utilize, for the work of God, for the furtherance of the things of God. It's very cool that people build, and I find it awesome that the Bible has in its books literature, if you will, that focuses on the value of composing, of painting, artwork, the special value of being a craftsman, someone who can do craft work, amazing, someone who can construct, someone that can sculpt. Sometimes we take this so for granted, that it's around our world. But it is really unique about human beings. Human beings construct and build and compose and create and dream and make and create, sculptures out of things that are in our brain. And that's amazing. It's amazing we can make instruments and play them and compose songs. And aren't you just appreciative of that in your life? Have you ever stopped to just kind of thank God for these abilities that we have? Bezalel, man, what a cool thing that he gets to use his skill, and it's of great value. It's not like, there's one value greater than the other, one skill that's way greater than the other. Sometimes when you are in a church, you might think the pastor has greater, is greater than you. Not true. Everybody's got the gifts, some gifts, and they're all important and equally important. No one's to, in a sense, outshine, other people. We all are there, part of the body of Christ, the body of Messiah, the church, and we're all valuable, important people, and we all have different gifts. It says, next, Bezalel used acacia wood to construct the square altar of burnt offerings. It was 7.5 feet wide, 7.5 feet long, and 7.5 feet high, or 4.5 feet high. And he made horns for each of the four corners so that the horns and altar were of one piece. He overlaid the altar with bronze. And remember, there's a whole study on the different materials that are being used in the tabernacle and why they're being used for those particular articles. Then he made all the altar utensils of bronze, the ash buckets, shovels, basins, meat forks, and fire pans. Next he made a bronze grating and installed it halfway down the side of the altar. Under the ledge, he cast 4 rings and attached them to the 4 corners of the bronze grating to hold the carrying poles. And he made the poles from acacia wood and overlaid them with bronze. He inserted the poles through the rings of the sides of the altar. The altar was hollow and was made from planks. So we see there's articles that are made of gold, and we see there's articles that are made of bronze that are going to be in the tabernacle. So, man, this must have been a kind of a pretty interesting, kind of shiny, kind of cool thing to see. And it says, Bezalel made the bronze wash basin, or what you might know as a baptismal, and its bronze stand from bronze mirrors donated by the women who served at the entrance of the tabernacle. So there were women, there were men that served, and this is where we get the foundation of baptism or immersion, or what's called ceremonial immersion. Baptism is not a New Testament concept. It's a very, very old Jewish, Hebrew ceremony. And this is where we start seeing it develop, is this wash basin. And it says that Then Bezalel made the courtyard, which was enclosed with curtains made of finely woven linen. On the south side of the curtains were 100 feet long, and they were held up by 20 posts set securely in between bronze bases. He hung the curtains with silver hooks and rings, and he made similar sets of curtains for the north side, 150 feet of curtains held up by 20 posts set securely in bronze bases. He hung the curtains with silver hooks and rings. The curtains of the west end of the courtyard were 75 feet long, hung with silver hooks and rings and supported by 10 posts set into 10 bases, to support it, to hold it up. Then the east end, the front, was also 75 feet long. The courtyard entrance was on the east end and flanked by 2 curtains. The curtains on the right side was 22.5 feet long and supported by 3 posts set into 3 bases. The curtain on the left side was also 22.5 feet long and was supported by 3 posts set into 3 bases. All the curtains used in the courtyard were made of finely woven linen. Each post had a bronze base, and all the hooks were rings were silver. Wow. So the thing that touched the dirt, bronze. The things that were raised, better material, gold, silver. Kind of cool. The top of the posts of the courtyard were overlaid with silver, and the rings to hold up the curtains were made of silver. He made the curtain for the entrance to the courtyard of finely woven linen, and he decorated it with beautiful embroidery in blue, purple, scarlet thread. Now, we've seen that this is the color of the tabernacle. Our colors, blue, purple, and scarlet thread, are big. So you might want to, look that up, see what it looked like. It was supported by 4 posts, each set securely in its own bronze base. The top of the posts were overlaid with silver, and the hooks and the rings were also made of silver, and the tent pegs used in the tabernacle and courtyard were made of bronze. So it seems like things that were kind of to get dirty were bronze. Seems like other things, things on the outer courts were silver that were kind of in the air, so to speak, holding things up, the rings. But then you get inside and it's gold. Yeah. This is an inventory of the materials used in building the tabernacle of the covenant. The Levites compiled the figures as Moses directed, and Ithamar, son of Aaron, the priest, served as recorder. I love it. They're recording this. I mean, the Hebrew people have an incredible history. It is a miraculous history. What other nation has a entire books upon books of a detailed writing like this, of ancestry, names, people, places, things, languages, construction projects. It is very, very amazing to understand what you're reading when you're reading the Bible. See, I thought the Bible was going to be some fairy tale. I thought it was going to be once upon a time in the galaxy far, far away. There lived Darth Vader, and he was on a planet called Kolob, and they lived out in space somewhere. And then, that kind of thing. I did not know the Bible was going to be like this, like so detailed. Now, some people get lost again in this. But you know what? When someone's composing, man, they don't get lost. They have a knowledge of music. They know how to compose. And it's not boring at all. There's a lot of intricacy to it. We should never get bummed at God because God puts intricacy in the scriptures. You're good at something. And whatever you're good at, it's because you know it. You know it in and out. And man, that is cool. It's good to have what we call professionals. People that know what they're doing. They know a subject oh so well. And that's what we're getting here in this text, is people that know how to construct, know how to build. They've been given the architectural designs, and now they're going to be able to put it together. They're going to be able to build it up. Very, very cool. So it names some of these people: Bezalel, son of Uri, grandson of Hur, this is 22, of the tribe of Judah made everything just as the Lord had commanded. He was assisted by Oholiab, son of Ahishmash, of the tribe of Dan. So these are Hebrews, a craftsman expert at engraving, designing, and embroidering with blue, purple, scarlet thread, and a fine linen. The people brought special offerings of gold totaling 2,193 pounds, measured by a weight of the sanctuary shekel. The gold was used throughout the tabernacle. The whole community of Israel gave 7,545 pounds of silver as measured by the weight of the sanctuary shekel. The silver came from the tax collected from each man registered in the census. The tax is 1 beka, which is a half of shekel, based on the sanctuary shekel. The tax was collected from 550,000 men who had reached their 20th birthday. The 100 bases for the frames of the sanctuary walls and for the posts supporting the inner curtain required 7,500 pounds of silver, about 75 pounds for each base. The remaining 45 pounds of silver was used to make the hooks and the rings and to overlay the tops of the post. The people also brought as a special offering 5,310 pounds of bronze, which was used for the casting the bases of the post of the entrance to the tabernacle, and for the bronze altar, which its bronze grating and all the altar utensils. Bronze was also used to make the bases for the post that supported the curtains around the courtyard, the bases for the curtain at the entrance of the courtyard, and the tent pegs for the tabernacle and the courtyard. So you see, there's silver, gold, and bronze, and they're put in certain places. Now, this is done through the offerings that are given by Israel. It's called a tax, but it's not like what we think per se. It's the idea of, hey, we're going to construct this so we can draw close to God. This is something that God has required. He wants us to do this. And so remember, it was a free will offering. It wasn't you had to do this. It was you get to give. And again, is that my heart? Is my heart a get to give? I get to do things, or is it obligation? Is my service to God obligatory, or is it because I really get to do it? You know, when you're in a marriage, is it obligatory, or are you stoked that you get to be with someone? Is it something where you're like, oh man, yeah, I guess I have to be with you because I did marry you, so I guess I'll just, stick it out. I guess I'll just do it. What kind of marriage is that? Yet many people live that way. Instead of a joyful marriage, one where you enjoy, right? Well, God says, hey, I want you to give, but you need to give willingly out of an abundance in your heart. See, God is a relational God. That's the interesting thing about the Bible. He's a relational God. God is not abstract. He's not a concept. He's a person. And so God wants a relationship that's not obligatory, but one where it's free will. You see that God is better. You taste and see that the Lord is good. You might have heard that psalm before, taste and see that the Lord is good. Right? That you realize that God is better, man, than this world. That God is better than what we can do on this planet. We can be thankful to God. See, if you're not thankful to God, then what are you thankful for? Who are you thankful to? You become selfish. You become prideful. We become self-autonomous. I want self-autonomy. It's me, 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 me. Right? We don't realize that we've been given. That there's a God who loves us and who has made a way for us to draw close to Him. And it's through an offering that He did for you. Not so much what you can do for Him, but He sent His Son to be an offering for you. That's how much He loves you. Wow. See, God is going through this rigmarole of tabernacle to help the Hebrews and in turn the world understand the relationship that needs to be developed between God and us, that it needs to have an offering. There needs to be a place where we are made right. And it's going to have to come through God. it can't come through us because we're way too messy. We just can't seem to get it right. So it's very cool how God is revealing himself from Adam and Eve, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and now an entire nation of Hebrew people. And remember, anybody ethnically could jump into Israel and be a part of the religious life of Israel. What made you an Israelite wasn't necessarily coming from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, even though that is a strict definition. But the broad definition is anybody can be engrafted in if you trust God. Wow. It was very cool. Okay. So that's Exodus 37 and 38. So tomorrow I'll go through 39, and we'll just keep getting through this book because we're almost wrapped up, okay? So, hey, a big shout out to Miles. I hope you were listening, my friend. And boy, you're an amazing man. And, we'll catch you later, okay? Take care, friends. Bye-bye.